Ayatollah's museum is on fire. Iranian revolution in full effect. What? Wait, show something. Show something. A video. What's happening? Footage appears to show late Ayatollah's ancestral house on fire. Oh. The government's going to be really mad about this. They're going to be real angry about this. Like, difficult to overstate how angry they're going to be about this.
Khomeini رو آتیش زدن. بابا دمتون گرم. بابا دمتون گرم. آتیش زدن.
15K dead already. They haven't executed the big group of protesters yet. Didn't Iran's parliament vote to put 15K people to death? No, they voted to, like, punish them in the most severe terms or something like that. Iran is generally pretty willing to apply the death penalty. So it's like they're talking about it down the line, but they didn't just, like, quickly execute 15,000 people. Was that 15,000 people charged death penalty fake news? No, it was they said there were about 15,000 people who were arrested, and the Iranian parliament voted to in the harshest terms to punish them. Given the fact that Iran is very willing to execute people for defying the state, you know, that was interpreted as a lethal threat. But the executions have not been formalized, officiated, or committed. Whether or not they actually happen, it's hard to say. But you know, it's certainly a threat to. God damn. Do you think the Khomeini will step down? Not willingly or alive. I have talked about it to Moscow. I'm surprised they just don't bomb their own cities with protests. Keep in mind that the Iranian government is really, really, really not that popular with its people. You know? Ah, yes, the 1988 executions of Iranian political prisoners. How many did they kill? At least 2,500 to 30,000, exact numbers unknown. That's how bad their regime is. You don't even know. We might be off by a factor of 10. It's not good. It's not good. They're not good. The Iranian government is not that popular with its own people. I've said this before, but I really want to reiterate this. And I grew up around a lot of Iranian expats, and I want to insist on this, okay? Like, the Iranian Revolution was betrayed. A bunch of people rose up against the Shah. Anarchists, socialists, social democrats, and Islamic fundamentalists. And after the Shah had been deposed, guess who killed all of their previous allies first? The Islamic fundamentalists. So in spite of the fact that the Iranians were just sort of pluralistically opposed to the Western-imposed Shah, it was the minority of the country, those that were in favor of the fundamentalist Islamic rule, that ended up taking control of the country. Yep, revolutions are tough, and also probably don't trust the religious fundamentalists. They have historically not been a great ally to the people. Kind of like the Leninists in Russia. Yeah, same thing happened there. Lenin, a Leninist, because he's Lenin, worked with a bunch of people, including anarchists, and then killed them immediately. Seriously, we've talked about this before, but like, anarchists fought hand in hand with Leninists and the Bolsheviks to depose the Tsar and take over Russia. And then the anarchists were literally like brought into a war meeting, you know, like, well, how do we continue this war? Lenin didn't show up himself, but Trotsky was there, and they literally shot them in the back of the head. The anarchists showed up like, yes, comrade, how do we get our guys together to do cool lefty shit? And then Trotsky was like, okay, look that way. Close your eyes and look that way for a second. Yeah, then Lenin disbanded the workers' councils after he got in charge. Yep, the same thing happened in Spain, too. In fact, there are some people who say that the reason the fascists were able to hold Spain for so long was because the acting on the orders of Stalin, the Marxist-Leninists in Spain were more willing to fight the anarchists than they were the fascists. Like, Stalin was more insistent that the MLs dedicate their resources to fighting against the anarchist revolutionaries than opposing the fascists. So the anarchists were fighting both the Stalinists and the fascists, but I repeat myself. Yeah. This keeps happening. It's these patterns keep happening. Really makes you wonder. Makes you curious. George Orwell talked about this in Homage to Catalonia. He was targeted by Stalinists in Barcelona for being anarchist affiliated. Yeah, for people who are curious, like, hey, if George Orwell was a socialist, why were 1984 and Animal Farm pretty obviously attacks against like Stalinist Russia? And why did he like turn communists over to the police? And the reason for that is because he fucking hated Stalinists. He fucking hated Stalinist Russia. And the people he turned over the police were Stalinists who he didn't like and who he didn't think represented like socialist advocacy. He was very consistent in that respect. Yeah. Yeah, for good fucking reason. Fuck Stalinists. They're not allies in any way, shape, or form. Similar thing happened with the German Revolution, but the Social Democrats did it. Nah, no, okay, I've gotten in heat for this before, but like, dude, Rosa Luxemburg was right. The reason the German Revolution failed was because the Stalinist Russia, or not Stalinist Russia, I should say, like man, the socialists in Germany were so stupid, dude. They were literally like, okay, we kind of get along with the Social Democrats. We represent a tiny minority of the electorate. Now is the time for violent revolution. Surely the Social Democrats will allow us to take control of the government and not oppose us. And then they were like surprised when the Social Democrats fought against them. I don't like people talk about how the Social Democrats betrayed the German socialists, but the fact that the Social Democrats wouldn't have supported them in a revolution was well known at the time. Like looking back on what happened, it wasn't ambiguous. Like Rosa Luxemburg was saying this. You know who got Rosa Luxemburg killed? Technically, it was the far-right militias that the Social Democrats hired to fight against the socialists. But Rosa Luxemburg was warning her socialist compatriots, hey, if we do a revolution right now, the Social Democrats are not going to ally with us. Like, don't do it. Like, don't be stupid. The failure of the German Socialist Revolution is one of the contributing factors to the rise of Nazi Germany because it ended up cementing prejudice between socialists and social democrats and gutting the German socialist political groups. So, like, in a lot of ways, Rosa Luxemburg not being listened to like 110 years ago is one of the reasons the Nazis rose afterwards. Is it because she was a woman? Well, Rosa Luxemburg faced a lot of sexism, sure. But, I mean, I'm sure a lot contributed to it. Yeah, she also didn't like Lenin. And helped strengthen the reputation of far-right militia groups like the Freikorps. Yeah, it really was not good for Germany in the long run that to a lot of Germans, they saw far-right militias as like saviors against socialist aggression, when the socialists who had previously been willing to work with social democrats suddenly went crazy and did a revolution that ended up getting put down by the far-right. Oh, thank you, far-right, you saved us, woo. This won't come back to haunt us, you know, oh, God. Rosa Luxemburg was right on so much shit. Vaush, you really should inform yourself in the Blood May protests where social democrats shot German communists. Yeah, I'm aware. I'm not saying the social democrats are allies. I'm saying that socialists are retarded. You should all know that, huh? We're part of a socialist community. Are we not all retarded here? My main issue is that like a lot of people are like a lot of people keep making the same mistakes and then keep redesigning history to make it not look like they've made those mistakes. If you take a look at the legacy of Leninism and Stalinism, it's a legacy of failure. At every point in history, it's a legacy of authoritarianism, of a partisanship, of betraying like allies in the revolution. Every step of the way, you know. But then they reinvent history, and it's like, oh well, we're the only ones who actually did anything. Well, yeah, the things that you did were just like state capital. Like you didn't do the things you were supposed to. Look at Bloody May Day, and we're referring to Japan. Interwar German communists were the LARPing Twitter MLs the day. Yeah, and guess whose influence led to that? It was fucking Stalin. And Stalin was the one, well, the Stalinist government, promoted the concept of social fascism in such a fashion that many of the MLs in Germany saw the Social Democrats and the Nazis as equal, like, opponents. Because they thought social democracy was the moderate wing of fascism, so Nazis, being the actual fascism, was just like, oh, well, you're actually two sides of the same coin, so, like, you know, whatever. again, I'm not trying to exonerate the behavior of the social democrats here who made a fuck ton of mistakes and did a lot of fucked up stuff. I'm only pointing out that, like, you know, I feel like socialists ought to know better. Like, I expect social democrats to be brain dead because they're liberals. I expect a little bit more of socialists. I feel like once you've taken the socialism pill, I have to hold you to a higher standard when it comes to stuff like understanding history and learning from it, considering the fact that historical materialism is literally like the predicating like force of modern socialist theory. But you know, whatever. Grumble, 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 grumble. Grumble, grumble, grumble. Grumble, 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 grumble.